In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
Living La Vida low carb. This show is changing lives. We talking about your diet, trying to get you feeling right. Cut up them avocados, fry some eggs. Time to explore the longest running health podcast, hosted by Jimmy Moore. Time to give up the crappy garbage. We're getting into ketosis. Every day is a new step to your goal. Yeah, you're getting closer, motivated and focused. Don't stop, just go. Time to get inspiration from the Living La Vida low carb show. Hey, the livinglowcarbshow.com.
Woo! Another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. And if you want to engage in the content, you got to go follow me at JimmyRants.com. You'll see that we start off over on Instagram. I do a live video in the mornings on Instagram with this show. YouTube live generally in the afternoons. But we're here this morning with you guys, giving you another brand new episode of Jimmy Rants. So if you missed the live on Instagram in the mornings, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours over on Instagram. So go follow me there at Living Low Carb Man, LivinLowCarbMan. Then if you missed the replay, shame on you, by the way, just kidding. Hop on over to YouTube. We put all the past episodes up on YouTube. Go find Jimmy Rants. I'm also youtube.com/LivingLowCarbMan there. You will find the show and you can enjoy the replay of all of the past episodes of Jimmy Rants. Finally, we have the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants was one that I brought up on yesterday afternoon's YouTube Live Jimmy Rants episode. For some reason, it came up within the context of that show that I was doing. I was talking about a study, and somehow we got on restaurants and how to order. Anyway, so I was like, I need to do a whole episode of Jimmy Rants talking all about how to order keto in a restaurant without looking like a total nut job. And you guys know what I'm talking about. When you go to a restaurant and you're like trying to make the best possible low carb, moderate protein, high fat choices, sometimes you throw out that you're eating keto and sometimes the servers will know what you're talking about. Other times you say keto and they have no clue what you're talking about. So I want to give you some clear guided instructions today about when you go to a restaurant. And of course, the type of restaurant also matters. The easiest way to eat keto when you go to a restaurant is to go to like an American steakhouse. That's the easiest way to stay keto. And so whether you go to Texas Roadhouse or whether you go to Longhorns or Outback Steakhouse or any of the popular chains or some local steak joint, it's pretty darn easy to eat keto there. Try to get the fattiest cut of steak. So generally a sirloin steak tends to be a little bit leaner. Filet mignon. People don't realize this, but a filet mignon is almost all protein. Oh, it's real tender though. Doesn't have fat. It has hardly any fat in it. When I did an experiment last year where I tested a 3 gram of protein for every 1 gram of fat diet, a very high protein diet, I went to Outback and I was thinking, man, what in the world could I get here? And I was looking at the nutritional info of a filet mignon. It's like loaded with protein and very little fat at all. So don't get a lean protein source. If you do go to an American steakhouse, try to choose the fattier cuts. So a ribeye is pretty fatty. A T-bone steak is pretty fatty. If you want to go outside the steak realm, you can get pork belly, which is really fatty. There's so many options when you go to an American steakhouse. If you're just joining us, you guys, Welcome in. We are talking about how you can order keto in a restaurant without looking like a total nut job. So let's stick with the steakhouse first, and we'll go to other cuisines here in a minute. But in a steakhouse, generally the server will bring over either a bread loaf or rolls or some kind of bread something. So when they bring it over, don't act like they just brought you kryptonite and you're Superman. I'm melting. I know it's very tempting to do that. That you recoil at even the sight of bread. And for some people, even the smell of bread is just too much of a temptation. And so when you see it coming, don't have a conniption fit. Just look at the server. And if you're with a party of people that they still eat carbs, don't be a jerk about it. Let the bread come. But if you've got all keto people, which I tend, when I eat out, I tend to be with people that also eat keto, and you just look at the server and you see them bringing the bread, and you look over to them and you kind of shake your hand and say, no, thank you, we won't need that. That's it. That's it. That's how easy it is. And usually when you say it and you do it in a kind and gentle and cheerful voice, they're like, okay. Sometimes they'll go, what? You don't want the bread? No, we eat a ketogenic diet and we don't eat bread. And then again, that should end the story. What happens sometimes is, why would you bring me this bread? I don't want this. And you throw it, or I've seen some really weird antics from people who just get all upset. Guys, they're doing their job. Let them do their job. Their job is to bring you the basket of rolls, the loaf of bread. Now, sometimes I'll freak them out. I'll be like, I won't need the bread, but if you want to leave that butter, we'll go ahead and keep the butter and make sure it's real butter, not margarine. So I'll do that. And then they're like, okay, here's the butter and I'll take the bread. And they don't understand. But again, you're not being a jerk about it. You're not looking like a total nut job in your request. Maybe you are in the back of their minds. They're like, who are these people that are ordering butter but not bread? Are they trying to be unhealthy? So that's an American steakhouse. What about a Mexican restaurant? People are like, oh, there's nothing to eat at a Mexican restaurant. You've got all those carbs everywhere. So let me tell you what Christine and I do when we go to a Mexican restaurant. We have a really nice, authentic, what they call California-styled Mexican restaurant here in my hometown of Spartanburg, South Carolina, called Papa's and Beer. It is a great restaurant. Everybody there is just committed to the experience. You walk in, they're playing the Mexican-styled pop music. The decor is just beautiful in there, and the food is just spectacular. I mean, just unbelievably spectacular. And one of the things that we like to do when we go to a Mexican restaurant, specifically Papa's and Beer, is we get the fajitas. So the fajitas come on this big old skillet. And on the skillet, they've got all kinds of vegetables and meat and cheese and bacon. In fact, there's this one dish that we get called California fajitas. And the California fajitas have zucchini and squash and onions and green peppers and whichever meat you want. So they've got chicken, steak, pork, and sometimes you can get a mix of those things. Then on the California fajitas, they throw cheese on top of that and jalapeno bacon. Oh my gosh. If any of you ever come visit me in Spartanburg, South Carolina, I am taking you to Papa's and Beer for these fajitas. They're that good. But what comes with the fajitas? Refried beans. No, thank you. What else comes with it? Rice. No, thank you. What else? Tortillas. No, thank you. So here's what I do. I usually negotiate with them. I'm like, so we're not getting the rice, we're not getting the beans, and we're not getting the tortilla. Could you bring me an extra guacamole or an extra sour cream, and almost invariably, every single one of them will say, absolutely, no problem. They don't charge extra for that. So again, how you frame it is how you can order when you eat keto at a restaurant. And so you tell them, hey, look, I'm not having, and I realize beans, rice, and tortillas are very cheap for them. But if they get rid of all those, even in the perception of the consumer, getting rid of all those things and then just asking for an extra sour cream or guacamole or two, they're always more than happy to accommodate. Now, at a Mexican restaurant, especially Papas and Beer, they bring you a big old thing of chips at the beginning. So once again, no thank you, we won't need that. Now, maybe they'll bring salsa with that. Maybe you can keep the salsa and you can use that in your meal. But the chips themselves, you just say, no thank you. So again, if you are just joining us, we're talking about how in the world you order keto in a restaurant without looking like a total nut job. Because a lot more people are eating keto now. A lot of these restaurants, especially the chains, are catching on to that, and they understand somewhat what keto means. But I'm showing you, here's how you can educate your servers so that you don't end up getting something that you don't want. So we've talked about an American steakhouse, how to order there. I just finished talking about how to order at a Mexican restaurant. Let's go to an Italian restaurant. How about like Olive Garden? Okay. What in the world do you eat at Olive Garden? It's all pasta. I have had so much fun because I love Italian food. Italian food, that mix of cheese and meat and sauce, tomato sauce, is just, it's just divine. And garlic. The problem with a place like Olive Garden is their breadsticks are like totally addictive. So if you've ever been to Olive Garden, you know what I'm talking about. So if you can do it, then tell them no thank you when the bread comes. I know that's going to be hard for a lot of people because those things are so good. But you have a goal in mind, and your goal is to stay fat adapted. Your goal is to stay in a ketogenic state. And so those are no bueno for your pursuit of ketosis. Okay? So when they come with that, just no thank you, but take the salad that they give you. And in the salad, pretty much the only thing that's off limits in the salad would be the croutons. So tell them no croutons on the salad. Tell them to load it up with cheese. They do that little spinning wheel cheese thing, and they can load it up with the cheese. And pretty much everything else in there, the olives, the onions, the everything, and then the dressing. It's not the best dressing in the world because most dressings in a restaurant like that have soybean oil. It's not perfect, but if you're going to eat out, you're not eating out every day. So the dressing's probably okay. All right, so what about your main meal? You've got pasta this and pasta that, and it's like, what in the world do you get? I have now grown accustomed now, and they do sell steaks and things there as well if you just want to get something like that. But if you wanted something very Italian-y, they do have things called antipasta dishes, where they could actually put some vegetables in with some meat and in with some cheese and tomato sauce and make you a nice keto-friendly type of meal. I've even worked with them about making a kind of customized lasagna using zucchini slices before. Not all of them, I don't think, will do that. But you can ask. You can just say, hey, I don't eat carbohydrates in my diet. Can you work with me to get rid of the pasta and replace it with vegetables, replace it with meat, replace it with cheese? You can customize it. And see, a lot of people, if it's not on the menu, they don't know that they could ask for that. So are you a nut job for asking for something like that? Maybe they'll talk about you behind your back. But I think if you say it in a cheerful way and tell people you're dedicated to trying to be healthy and that on this ketogenic diet, you're not allowed to have refined carbohydrates like pasta. So what can we do? And most servers, if they don't know the answer, they'll go talk to their manager and they'll figure something out for you. This is the thing people don't really give credence to is these restaurants want your business. They want your money. And so if you go there and you tell them you have some dietary restrictions, they're going to do all they can to help. Think about it. They've been doing that with vegans for years. So a vegan goes to a restaurant, oh, sorry, I can't have meat. And so are they going to put sausage on a vegan's plate? No. They understand and recognize people have that dietary choice. Well, the same with all of us that eat keto. Are they going to purposely put carbohydrates on our plate if we don't want them? No. No, they're not. All right, what other cuisines could we talk about? Let's go to fast food. Now, as a rule, Jimmy Moore does not eat at a fast food restaurant. I'm just not a fan of putting any more of my hard-earned dollars into the businesses that I think helped contribute to my obesity and insulin resistance. So that's just my personal bias. I don't really go to fast food that much. But are there any fast food restaurants where you could eat? If I had to boil it down to one fast food restaurant that I think does things sort of kind of maybe the right way, here on the East Coast, we have Wendy's, and we have Five Guys. You could probably get ish things to eat, especially I'm doing keto carnivore right now. The burger and the cheese, and bacon, you could probably get things like that. As far as like a side, at Five Guys, they don't have like a salad option or anything like that. At Wendy's, you not only can get the burgers without the bun, and they can make it protein styled for you, but you also have the option of getting a salad. You have the option, and again, it's not the perfect choice, but if you needed something and wanted something good, you could get the chili is also pretty good there at Wendy's. Yeah, just in general, I'm not a big fan of going to a fast food restaurant, just on principle. But again, that's my personal bias. All right, let's go to a controversial one. Pizza. How in the world do you order a pizza if you're keto? Well, the simple answer is, well, you could just get a big old pizza and scrape them toppings off onto a plate. Bada bing, bada boom. You've got you a pizza that's totally keto friendly. Now, if you're celiac or you have some aversion to wheat and grains in some way, please do not do that, because you will still get exposed to the wheat, the crust. Just scraping it off does not prevent that from happening. But I'm noticing, you guys, more and more that these pizza companies are finally getting a clue, and they realize there's a whole bunch of us wackadoodle keto people out here, and they're trying to accommodate us. I've been to some pizza joints where I say, hey, can you put, like in a pan, no crust, but put cheese like down on the bottom, and then put sauce and the toppings and then more cheese on the top. Could you do that for me? I've had some that look at me like I'm a nut job, and I just walk out of those establishments. But I have others that go, oh, I've never tried that before, but sounds interesting. Let's try it. And when they do that, when they have the mozzarella cheese in the bottom, it actually forms a crust. So how cool is that? And a lot of these companies too are starting to figure out the whole pizza crust. So they get meat and smash it all together, maybe put a little bit of almond flour in there, and they can figure out how to do a ketogenic friendly crust for pizza. Guys, this is not hard. People are catching on. They want to accommodate you. They know that millions upon millions upon millions of us are choosing to eat low carb, high fat. And so if they're catching on, that's good for all of us, right? Yeah, so you just have to ask for what you want. Now, let me go back to fast food a second, because I did not put them in this category. I was thinking fast food was McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Taco Bell, that kind of Jack in the Box, that kind of thing. Chipotle just came out, and I did a whole Jimmy Rants all about their brand new lifestyle bowls. And so they do have a keto bowl, and it's very easy. Even before they created this bowl, it was really easy to order keto even at Chipotle. So that's another good option for fast food. All right, what cuisines have I left out? Obviously, you could go to a buffet styled restaurant. like a Golden Corral. I'm trying to think of the other buffet style restaurants that are out there. Golden Corral's the big one that I know about from our area. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about, buffet styled restaurants. So you just pick and choose what you want. And that's what makes like going on a cruise so fun, is you can pick and choose what foods you want. So even on a cruise ship, people, oh, how do you stay keto on a cruise? I'm like, are you kidding me? On a cruise ship, it's about the easiest way to stay keto, because literally every choice of whatever you want to eat is there. You're vegetarian, they got some options. You like to eat carnivore, they got options. You eat a ketogenic diet, they've got options. They pretty much have options for whatever your cuisine is. And so when you're at a buffet styled restaurant, just make sure that you gravitate to the fattiest kind of meats that you can find. Be aware, meatloaf isn't always just meat. They throw breadcrumbs in there to help bulk it up. So just be aware. It looks like meat on the outside, but they usually have some hidden carbs on the inside. And so if you try to get a steak, if you try to get chicken, if you try to get some whole version of a meat at a buffet, that's going to be best. As for the sides, you just get the non-starchy green leafy type of vegetables, and you're good to go. And most of these places have, if you choose to have a dessert, most of them have some sugar-free options. Watch out for no sugar added. No sugar added does not mean no sugar. So I know Golden Corral is really bad about that, where they have a no sugar added blueberry cobbler. So then you look at it, no sugar added, but the blueberries have sugar. And then, of course, they still put carbs in there in the form of the crust. So don't get fooled by things like no sugar added. That's no bueno. What else? Cuisine. So how about like Oriental type food? So like Japanese restaurant, Chinese restaurant. I'll tell you what the best one of that kind of cuisine, the kind of Asian cuisine, is Mongolian barbecue. So that tends to be the better if you're going to go to one of those kind of restaurants, is to get Mongolian barbecue, because again, you can choose what you want, and it's mostly meat and vegetables. Now they do put a little bit of sugar into the sauce when they're cooking it and everything, but for the most part, Mongolian barbecue is pretty darn good. All right, so there's probably lots more cuisines I could have gotten into, but these are some of the major ones, you guys, that maybe you go to a restaurant and you just go, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm supposed to order here. How in the world am I supposed to order keto in a restaurant? And I don't want to look like a wackadoodle when I do that. Hopefully today's Jimmy Rants gave you a few things to think about when you go out to eat. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in. Thanks for being here on another episode of Jimmy Rants. Appreciate you guys so much. Great subject. Love to hear your thoughts about this. Awesome, Amy. Glad you enjoyed it. Besides just a big slab of meat, she said. Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with just ordering a big slab of meat. If you're carnivore and you choose to do that. Yep, the server thinks you're a nut job, says Bonnie Lene. Thank you, Brittany. Keto Glow said, what about Cracker Barrel for breakfast? Yes, Cracker Barrel. If you grew up in the South, you know I'm talking about Cracker Barrel. Is it Cracker Barrel? That's a Southern thing. You wouldn't understand if you didn't live in the South. But yes, Cracker Barrel, perfect, because they serve breakfast all day. And I suppose you could say the same thing about Denny's. You could probably say the same thing about Waffle House. The only exception I would give to that is IHOP, because IHOP, and I was the one that shared this many years ago, well over a decade ago. People were like, oh, just go to IHOP and get eggs. And I found out, you guys, that IHOP puts pancake batter in their eggs to fluff them up. So what you think you're ordering is just eggs ends up being a whole lot more than you bargained for. And like I said, I was talking about this over 10 years ago when I first started blogging, and in the early days of podcasting. I started doing some investigations into things, and I discovered that they put pancake batter in their eggs, and it about made the low carb community at the time flip their lid. So if you didn't know that, hopefully that wasn't shocking news to you here today. But if it was, word to the wise, when you go to IHOP, make sure if you do order scrambled eggs that you ask for real eggs. If you do order an omelet from them, ask for real eggs cooked in butter. That's the key to doing it. Can we have filet with butter added, says Lugene. Filet mignon is what you're saying. So, Lugene, the problem isn't that it lacks isn't just that it lacks the fat, and by adding in more fat do you offset that. There is so much protein in a filet mignon. If you're trying to be ketogenic, I know it's very trendy nowadays to think that ketogenic means you eat more protein. It does not. Ketogenic defined is low carb, moderate protein, high fat. And a typical filet mignon at a restaurant is going to be around 69 grams of protein. So if that's all the protein you're eating and maybe a little bit more from a few eggs, if that's all you're having in the whole day, then okay, maybe what you're saying has veracity. The problem is people are having that, they're having another source of protein, another source, and they're getting way too much protein for what their body needs. And again, I know there's this kind of controversy within keto right now of, oh, we should not be skimping back on protein. We're not talking about eating less protein than you need. Get adequate protein, but we don't need the level of protein that some people are advocating for. Grandma does keto too late for us. Made cross-country trip last year. We look like nut jobs all along the way. Well, I'm sure we've all at some point looked like nut jobs to servers. So we're the ones that they talk about. Did you hear that keto person was just here? When we're gone. I'm melting from not eating that delicious bread, says Kimberly. And Kimberly, you just had a birthday, so if you went out to eat, I know you well. You did not have anything like that. Liz says, my sister and I went out to dinner the other day. They just asked if we wanted bread. We politely declined, and that was a first. Wow, they asked you if you wanted bread. Most of the time, they just bring it and plop it on the table. So when I see them coming, I'm like, no, thank you. And that's it. And most of the time, that takes care of it. Kimberly says, I'm going to meet you at Papa's and Beer in September. Our treat. Hey, you going to buy me Papa's and Beer Mexican food? I am all in. Ashton says, no problem here. I can say no to the bread. Yeah, a lot of us that have been doing this a little while, it's pretty easy to say no to the bread. Better to be kind of a nut job than dead. Well, that's true, Sam. But I think there's a tact that you can do to not look like the nut job. I get what you're saying. But to me, being kind and gentle, and who knows, if you do that, if you're kind and gentle, they'll bring you things that maybe they're not allowed to give you without charging you. They'll bring them to you because you were so nice about it. Case in point, I was recently in Portland, Oregon, for the nutritional therapy conference that was there, and I'm doing keto carnivore. And there was a restaurant right next to the conference center where we were having the event. And I went in there and I said, okay, I know I have a really strange order, but I wanted to run this by you guys. Can I get like 6 hamburger patties? You could probably just charge me like a la carte, whatever the hamburger patty costs. And generally it's about $4, by the way. And then I was like, and how much is it to put a slice of cheese on them and maybe some bacon? So they gave me the prices and everything. And I made the choice about how many I wanted based on how much it cost, which I ended up getting 6 burgers, 3 slices of cheese, and it was about $30 for that, which I thought was pretty good. And then I was like, could I get some butter with that? I know it's kind of weird. What am I eating the butter with? But would you mind if I had some butter? And they, without even hesitating, said, or first I asked, do you have real butter? Because they don't always have real butter. And they said, yes, we do. And I was like, please, 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 can I have some butter? And they did. And they threw it in there, no charge. Butter ain't cheap. So I was very grateful. And all you got to do is just be kind and nice about it. And I think that's where not being a nut job comes into play with this discussion. Most restaurants are extremely accommodating, says Brittany. That's what I found. Ashton says, I customized an order once, was told don't order this again. Our cooks only go off the menu. We never went back. Well, you never should go back, Ashton. Any business worth its veracity will bend to its customers' desires. And if they're unwilling to do that, then that's an establishment that does not deserve your money anymore. Alberto says, I know it sounds contradicting or ironic, but one nice place I found that is easy to eat keto is Cheesecake Factory. Salmon, meats, omelet, sorry, no dessert. Well, actually, they do have a low-carb cheesecake that's pretty good there. Again, it's not perfect, you guys. I'm not advocating for it, but if you did want to have cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory, they do have a low-carb one. Make sure you don't get the one with like strawberries and syrup on top. Just get the plain low carb cheesecake. It's about $6 or $7 for the cheesecake slice. They'll even sell you a whole one, which I think has like 16 or 18 slices, and it's about $50 for a whole one at the Cheesecake Factory. But you're right. Off the menu, as with any other restaurant, pick the best choices, and salmon and steaks and omelets, they're all there for your choosing. And instead of like fries and other starchy carbohydrate sides, you can get a salad. I think they have green beans there, maybe like a veggie trio medley. And anytime you see that, by the way, if you see veggie medley or veggie trio or something, always ask what are the vegetables. And if it's generally broccoli, cauliflower, zucchini, squash, and sometimes they'll throw in carrots. There's some combination of those 5 or so vegetables in a medley. And of course, you don't have to eat the carrots. You could just pick around those, but do the best that you can. Brittany says, Hardee's for fast food, they have a low-carb option. They will wrap it for you in lettuce. Well, I was hesitant to say anything about Hardee's Carl's Jr., only because even on their low-carb burger, they still put high fructose corn syrup ketchup on it. So if you do order that, make sure that you get no ketchup on it. So ask for no ketchup. Their breakfast bowl is pretty decent if you're going to get something. When Christine and I are on the run, when we're traveling and we need something quick to eat for breakfast, we know we can go to Hardee's and get their low-carb breakfast bowl. And it's pretty good. Sam says Carl's Jr. and In-N-Out both serve a low-carb burger. Yeah, we don't have an In-N-Out burger. Everybody talks about In-N-Out like it's the holy grail of burger joints. But all you guys on the West Coast are the ones that get to enjoy that for the most part. Where I live here in South Carolina, we don't have In-N-Out burger, but I've heard the rumors. I want to try. Val says, I tell them I have restrictions. My doctors say not to eat bread, chips, etc. We go to Wendy's almost every week, and they will always give me a bunless burger. Yep. Jolly C's Jimmy John's Unwich, they replace the bread with lettuce. Again, we don't have a Jimmy John's where I live, but I've heard about that. But that's good to know that they are making not a sandwich, but an unwich. I love that. Kitty Caddick, saddest part, I usually get judged by friends, not restaurant staff. They like live a little. They tell you live a little, but I want to live a lot. Plus your little rant, your last rant on YouTube about not cheating. Closed-minded people are always there. Well, Kat, sounds like you need new friends, my dear. I promise you, when we come back to Virginia Beach, we'll go out to dinner together, and I will not judge you for your food choices. I promise you. You'll probably eat better than we do. Linda, living keto, chili has beans. Yeah, that's why I said it's not the best choice, Linda. I'm saying if you're in a pinch and you're out to eat and all you have as an option is Wendy's. We've had that before, Christine and I, when we've been traveling, and Wendy's was literally the only joint even anywhere close to us where we could get food. And so we got burgers without the bun, kind of in the lettuce wrap. We got a salad, and then for a little extra sustenance, we did get a bowl of chili. But you're right, it does have beans in it. Ask for what you want pleasantly and simply. Grandma does keto. You just succinctly in your phrase there just kind of wrapped up exactly what I'm trying to communicate here. Olga Keto Reality says, I heard CC's Pizza is now doing crustless. Oh, I'm sure they are. They're the ones, if you're not familiar with CC's, you walk in and they go, hi, welcome to CC's. I don't trust them, though, because their food is such low quality that I'm afraid their sauce is probably full of sugar. So that would be my major problem with CC's. Val says, we got our favorite pizza place to do crustless. Yeah, Val, I have a friend who used to live in Kentucky, and it was just a little small town in Kentucky, and it was like one of these like 3 restaurants in this little small local regional chain, and he did the same thing. And he went in and he said, hey, I don't want this crust. Can I make one? And so they actually called it His Name Special. So it was His Name Special. That was pretty cool. At Disneyland, says 21 Dances with Dogs, we tried several times to order burgers without fries. We were told we can't do that. We have to put them on the plate. They're trained to put the fries there. Yeah, sadly, I've seen that too. I don't understand. How hard is it not to drop fries on a plate if someone asks you not to do that? CB Vapor, what about Kentucky Fried Chicken? Yeah, I have big time problems with these fast food chicken companies. So Church's Chicken, even, I'm going to tick off a bunch of people, but even Chick-fil-A. Can you get options that are low carb there? Absolutely you can. Can you get options that are ketogenic at a chicken place like KFC, Church's Chicken, or Bojangles, or Chick-fil-A? And I don't think you can, because and we talked about this before, you guys, the protein that's in chicken is highly, highly insulinogenic. And so I have concerns about how you're able to be ketogenic with a protein source that's very lean, by the way, very little fat in the chicken that you get. I know you can get thighs, you can get some of the ones that are fattier, but they're not always ideal. Now, speaking of chicken, what about chicken wings? Can you get some from like Buffalo Wild Wings and some of those kind of restaurants? On a whim, every once in a while, sure. But I've found almost every time that I've had chicken wings or eaten chicken at like a grilled chicken at Chick-fil-A, or the grilled chicken things from, say, KFC, every single time I eat those things, less than an hour later, I'm starving again. And so what that's telling me is it's stoking hunger hormones, it's raising insulin. And I actually tested this last year, eating just chicken, and then testing my insulin less than 2 hours after eating that, and it shot up. And so I don't think that that's good for you. And so, no, I deliberately left off chicken joints because I don't think they're necessarily the best. Genghis Grill might be a good option for Asian. I think you can add cabbage instead of rice. Oh, that's good, Linda's. Good to know about that. Christine says, I don't mind looking like a wackadoodle. Yeah. Beth, Keto Neogenesis, while on the road, I was getting pulled pork. Oh, yes. Sorry. Thank you. Barbecue is perfect. The main thing with barbecue is you don't want to get the sauce, because 99% of the time it's going to be very sugary. So if you get sauce, get it on the side. I would encourage you to go pick up a bottle of Alterna Sweets barbecue sauce. It's a delicious barbecue sauce. When we were in Austin, Texas last year for the KetoCon conference, I had the Alterna Sweets people in my booth, and we were giving away a free bottle of ketchup. Well, during the breaks, we would go to lunch. Right across the street was Terry Black's Barbecue, some of the best Texas barbecue you'll ever have in your life if you ever go to Austin, Texas. If you go to KetoCon, you'll be seeing Jimmy Moore there this year, eating quite a bit at Terry Black's. But bring some barbecue sauce from Alterna Sweets. They had put on the table these bottles for all the people attending KetoCon to put on their barbecue. And, oh, it is so good. Watch out for IHOP that put pancake batter. Yeah, Nancy, I mentioned that earlier. Let's see. You can ask for a cracked egg omelet that avoids the pancake batter. That's right. See, you guys are already doing what I already ranted. You probably said that long before I did. But yes, be aware of IHOP putting pancake batter. All right, let's see here. I bring my own homemade mayo, says Sophia. I also bring olive oil and salt. Yes, people think it's weird, but makes my meals a lot healthier. See, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Sometimes restaurants will balk at that because you brought food from the outside, and if you get sick, they'll claim that it was your food that you brought and not anything that they did. Sophia says, I also ask for things to be fried in butter instead of oil, and the waiter thinks it's weird. I always wonder if they follow through. Seed oil, paranoid. Well, all you can do is ask, and if they say, yes, we'll do that, then you just have to trust that they did do that. I typically reject the bread with a joke, says Alberto, and the waitress then asks me about it. Yeah, don't you know that stuff will kill you? So, oh, tell me more. Wendy's is my go-to emergency meal place. They're very good about giving me a bacon cheeseburger in a nice container with side salad. Was great meal. So Wendy's, one of the best kept secrets for keto people is to order a Baconator with an extra burger if you want a little more fat and protein. A Baconator with an extra burger without the bun. There you go. Boom. Living, Liz, and Healthy. I usually preface it with, sorry, I'm going to be the annoying one with my order. Yeah, I do the same thing. I'm like, okay, you've gotten to the weird guy in the group. And they're usually very receptive at that point. I ended up with one waitress asking if I was paleo when I'm doing carnivore. Yeah, Liz, that's funny because almost every time that I reject the bread, I have questions asked of me. Are you doing that keto thing? Yeah, I know a little bit about that keto thing. So occasionally I'll drop the bomb that I've written books about keto, and they're like, oh my gosh, oh, we have a celebrity. I'm like, no, I'm just a dude. Nancy says Red Robin is also great. They have a lettuce wrap burger with avocado that you can get all you can eat broccoli or salad instead of fries. Wow, that's cool. I did not know that, Nancy. Thank you for that. There are a few choices, restaurants that have a keto choice, In-N-Out. Flying Dutchman animal style is what they call it. Good to know, Subi. Chaos today at Cheesecake Factory after Jimmy announces a low-carb cheesecake, says Alberta. Don't everybody go overrun Cheesecake Factory just because you might have just learned they have a low-carb cheesecake. Amy says an all-you-can-eat pizza place in Oklahoma called Incredible Pizza makes a crustless pizza on wax paper but still has some gluten in the other stuff. Yeah. All right, Amy wants to know, what about Subway? What about Subway? I'm trying to think if there's anything. If I went to Subway, it'd be a very boring visit because all I would get, because everybody's like, well, you can make a salad out of any sub. I'm like, bleh. If I go to Subway, probably about the only thing I would do is a meatball sub without the sub. Because I do love meatballs. And you could have them melt some cheese on top of that. Yeah, there's not much at Subway that I would eat. It's just so gross. There's a Jimmy John's on Pine Street in Spartanburg, says one of my local people, Olga. Well, I don't go to Pine Street. That's all the way on the other side of town, Olga. I'm here on the west side of Spartanburg. They don't have any Jimmy John's over here. Val says, friends and family think we only do keto for weight loss. My mother-in-law always asks how much weight I've lost. I tell her that's not why I do it. They don't understand, do they, Val? They don't understand. Keto Island says, the truth is the carbs coated in KFC chicken will kick you out of ketosis. Right. But even if you get it, and hey, Simon, even if you do get the grilled, yeah, it's just too much protein, too little fat. You're going to be starving. Does all chicken raise your blood sugar? So yeah, Sophia, I don't want to get in the weeds on that one. Just know that there is specifically an amino acid in chicken breast especially that is more insulinogenic. So it's not always about raising blood sugar. It's about raising insulin levels. And this is why some people get hypoglycemia when they eat chicken, especially chicken breast. I found that to be true for myself. It was raising my insulin far too high in the absence of carbohydrates, and it gave me hypoglycemia. Yellow-eyed one says, I really just hate eating out if I can help it. Exactly. Griff Sam, what's up, Sam? Load my broccoli like it were a baked potato. Yeah. It's so funny. Most of the starchy carbohydrates that we consume, we eat them as a conduit for getting all the other stuff in there, like bacon and sour cream and butter. So use, like Sam mentioned, broccoli. Stuff that bad boy to no end. It's pretty darn cool. In Australia at McDonald's, you can order off the condiments menu, egg, sausage, cheese, bacon, all separately, cheaper than if you got it all in a McMuffin. That's good to know, Simon. Thank you. I've been eating a lot of shrimp lately and have a hard time keeping my ketones up. Yeah, Lugene, shrimp is another one of those that's almost all protein and no fat at all. So you're learning. My niece, who is type 1 diabetic, if she eats chicken breast, her blood glucose will go up big time. Yeah, Olga, type 1s, they know how food responds because they have no choice. They can only survive with insulin, and they have no insulin production in their body. And so if they eat chicken breast and it raises blood sugar, they're going to know it. And thank you for sharing that, by the way. So guys, the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants, how do you order keto when you go out to eat at a restaurant? And the key part of this is, how do you do all of that without looking like a total nut job? So hopefully I've given you some things to think about, various cuisines. So the next time you go out to eat, you're buying, by the way, if we go out to eat together. I'm just kidding. You know how to do it and know how to do it tactfully. And the main thing is just be nice about it. Because who knows, you might be the reason why someone starts keto because you were so nice to them when you came to their restaurant to eat. So be that nice person today. Live by example. Be kind. Be loving. All that good stuff that I always talk about. And you really can't go wrong. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, we start off over on JimmyRants.com, and once you're there, you'll see in the morning time we've been doing Instagram Live, but in the afternoons we go live on YouTube. So come back later today, you guys, over on YouTube. Follow my YouTube live. But if you missed the live here today on Instagram, I'm at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVIN LOWCARBMAN. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours on Instagram. After 24 hours, you will have to go to YouTube to see all the past episodes. So go follow me on YouTube. Type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. You can go to youtube.com/LivinLowCarbMan. You will find the show 200, almost 280 episodes now, you guys. We are rolling with Jimmy Rants. Finally, the best of the best moments of this here show are in podcast form over on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. Kiki wants to know what time on YouTube. Unfortunately, I wish I could give you a time, Kiki. I've got a podcast to record at 4 o'clock. I try to do them in the afternoons around 4 o'clock, but since I've got a podcast today with someone in Australia, 4 o'clock was when they wanted to do it. It may be 5 or 5:30 Eastern time, but I hate to put a time on it. One of these days, maybe I'll set a schedule for when I actually physically do these Jimmy Rants. It's just so busy in the day-to-day for me. I don't always know when I can sneak them in. So thank you for that. So guys, until next time, we'll see you then.